Hi! Welcome back. I know you just wasted all your pulls on Arcane, but it's time for the adorable idol girl Liino, who will steal all our hearts and hopefully not get murdered by a psychopath and choke us with her robot legs.
What?
Like I said last time, you are now forced to pull for Liino, and while you think she can only be an electric support, she's got a pretty big secret which will make her useful in a few more places. So here's the ultimate guide on how to use Liino in Arknight's Enfield. But just before we get into the content, if you're looking to get yourself an Arcane or Liino and your savings don't exactly measure up to 120 pulls, let me introduce you to lootbar.com. Lootbar is a recharge platform that provides you with safe top-ups for many different gacha games, including your favorites and mine, Arknights and Arknight's Enfield. You can get yourself all the bundles, passes, and top-ups for up to 20% cheaper than in-game prices. You get near instant delivery of your rewards using Lootbar's self-top-up service for Enfield, which routes you through the game itself. It's a trustworthy site I and so many others have used before, with thousands of great reviews on Trustpilot and 7 days after-sale support and guaranteed refunds. So do me and you both a favor by clicking my link to get an extra new user discount and start using Lootbar to save some money on your favorite gacha games. Now let's get on to it. So Liino's kit is pretty damn simple, unlike Arcane who had us essaying for 5 hours. Her skill costs way less SP than usual, around 30, which puts her in the Vocalist stance and provides an attack boost and healing to allies within range. Her combo skill activates only during her skill's Vocalist stance when an enemy is hit with an arts reaction or an arts reaction is consumed, where she launches an attack and regenerates ultimate energy for herself. And her ultimate puts her in the Cosmo Voice stance, dealing some damage, forcibly applying electrification to all enemies, healing allies, and also granting an electric in nature amp. And now the best gear set for Liino is going to be Eternal Sheer Knight, of course being the new pieces that came out, giving her ultimate gain efficiency and fitting her main stats. And now we can get straight into the teams. Liino will be best fit for both electric and nature DPS units, while obviously having an affinity for electric units since she cannot regenerate SP from non-electric enemies when they use skills, while still needing some skill points to keep her Vocalist stance active. Although this isn't really that huge of a deal and will just mean you'll need to use either a Vanguard or use less skills than you would in an electric focused team. She's an incredibly easy character to use, just to keep her skill up, use an electric unit or two in her team to keep up with the SP rather than using other elements, and use her ultimates when you're about to deal a lot of damage. This is not like Arcane, who is much more complicated to use. You really don't have to keep track of arts inflictions or even reactions for her combo skills, since most of her teams will proc quite a few reactions, giving her lots of combo skills to use as well. So the obvious best pick for Liino will be in a team with Zhuang Fangyi, Perlica, and either Gilberta or Arcane, depending on preference or availability, but Arcane is definitely the pick, which with the right rotations will give you a bit more damage. This team's best rotations will be very similar to already existing rotations with Arclight, only instead using Liino's skill whenever it's down to keep it up and get the buff. With this team though, you will be losing out on Arcane's extra skill points, resulting in less overall skill usages from Fang Yi. And while the damage might be equal or even more because of Liino's huge buffs, you might want to swap out Arcane and Gilberta with Arclight, or we wait for the next 6-star electric Vanguard, which could be the fake Mjolnir. On that topic, I also think that Lady C will be a nature DPS unit, which means she'll also work very well with Liino. And of course, since Liino gives that nature amp, you'll be able to use her with DPS Arcane as well. Arcane, Gilberta, or Akakuri, Perlica, and Liino could be the new highest damage team in the game, just as Arcane, Tangtang, Zahi, and Akakuri was, although that would be quite hard to beat due to how busted Tangtang and Zahi really are. It's also the same rotation as earlier, giving Arcane as many electric stacks as possible to try and proc the highest level of corrosion. So is it worth it to pull Liino in the end? Well, meta-wise, she's a lot less versatile than Arcane and Gilberta, only being for nature and electric teams with a strong affinity for electric. She's not going to be usable with Lavatane, Lastrite, Yvonne, or others like them like Arcane and Gilberta, and she won't be used with physical teams like Gilberta, although if her buffs are strong enough, she can give nature and electric DPS units quite a big buff, especially depending on the scenario. For example, against an enemy that has very high elemental resistances like the Sky Drummer in Echoes of War, corrosion effects, and especially Arcane's corrosion, which is slightly stronger, would be stronger than Liino's buff. However, for an enemy that has normal resistances or even lower resistances against electric and nature, Arcane's debuff would be weaker than usual and Liino's buff would be much more powerful. So even then, it's not really going to be Liino versus Arcane, especially since you can use them together. So far, it's Liino versus really no one, since there's no one you can compare her to, other than maybe Arclight, which so far there's no doubt that Liino will allow electric teams to deal more damage than her. But Fake Moinar will probably be a better pick if you want to replace Arclight, specifically if he's indeed an electric Vanguard like I expect. So that's it, not much else to talk about here. Liino will be a super powerful character for electric and nature DPS units, and if that's who you're planning on using, you should definitely get her. Thank you so much for watching, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this in the future, and join the Express Train Discord server for a fun and lovely community to hang out with. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you next time.